Warning: portions of this episode contains first-hand account of first responder personnel. This content is not suitable for a younger audience. Discretion is advised.
The Dirty Shirts Podcast!
All right, what's going on, everybody? This is Chili from the Dirty Shirts Podcast. I'm here with a special episode. Got one of my good buddies here. Why don't you introduce yourself, man?
My name's Jordan Poe. I'm from this area, from Yuba City. I'm a firefighter paramedic. Been doing that been a paramedic for about 14 years. Been in EMS total for about 16 years. Married with 5 beautiful kids, from 16 to 5. So really proud of that. That's probably my biggest accomplishment is my kids. I'm a Jiu-Jitsu purple belt. Been doing that for about 6 years now, something like that. Close to 6
Nice.
years. Yeah, that's kind of my story.
Why don't you take us back to the beginning? You were saying that we were talking before, we were talking about how you were a military rat. What was that like?
Yeah, so I was born at Fairchild Air Force Base near Spokane.
Great state of Washington.
Great state of Washington. I moved to the Philippines, to Clark Air Force Base, when I was just a few months old. I don't have too many memories from that. I have a few, just running around with my brother, doing crazy stuff there. But did 4 years there, and then we moved to Castle Air Force Base in Central California. That's kind of where I have most of my childhood memories. And then went to Wiesbaden, Germany for 4 years as well. And then back to Biel. So I moved back here to Biel when I was 12. And then I've been here basically ever since. I mean, I've kind of tried to leave this area, but this Yuba City has a way of just kind of sucking you
Bringing
back
you
in.
back in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because we've talked about your story before, just hanging out and stuff like that. And I realized when you gave me the timeline with you as a military brat, I've been pretty much everywhere you've been. I was born at Clark Air Base. I've been TDY to Castle. I did a huge exercise with the military there. It was a joint exercise with the Army and the Marines, and I was obviously at Beale. I just retired out of there from Washington. It's crazy just hearing your story. I was like, dang, man, we've been to a lot of these same places.
So we were probably at Clark at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I'm a few months older than you. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so you were probably born there when I was running around in diapers.
Our yayas probably know each other.
That's funny.
When you tell me about your yayas, I was like, dude, I had some too. I wonder if we're they're linked up in some way, shape, or form. That would be freaking amazing.
That would be fun.
Yeah, I don't have any memories. Do you have any fond memories from it, that you can recall, or?
Dude, I have kind of vague memories of Joy and Jemima. You call them yayas. We just called them our I don't know, I don't want to say maids. That sounds kind of derogatory, but they were just kind of our second moms, Some vague memories of them, but I have this weird memory of my dad coming home with this rubber Batman, and it was hollow on the inside. And me and my brother were super into Batman, and for whatever reason, we filled it with ketchup, and we were squeezing its head off and pretending he was getting its head cut off, and then we went and buried it in the backyard. My dad came home and he's like, "Where's your Batman?" I was like, "I don't know. I buried it." And I remember my dad being really mad at me, "Why would you bury the brand new toy I bought you?" But I was 3 or 4, and I thought it was a good idea.
That's hilarious, man.
So silly things like that is the only really things that I remember from there.
No.
But
That's wild, man. So you around what time did the military the military dependent life kind of stop, and then you were kind of transitioning from there? How old were you then?
Well, when my dad got out, I was 15.
15? Okay.
But even before that, it wasn't really until here, moving back to Beale when I was 12, that I really kind of felt not military kid. Because prior to that, I'd lived on base. I kind of feel I had friends coming and going. But when I moved back to Beale, I wasn't really involved with the military community anymore.
Yeah. But you did spend a significant part of your childhood. It's kind of my kids. Evie is 15 now. I just retired. So you spent your whole life really at that point.
Yeah.
What was it like being a traveling military kid?
I loved it, man. Well, looking back on it, I have a lot of fond memories about it. When I was going through it, I remember it just kind of being, it is what it is, you know, like you'd make really good friends, like close core memories with friends, and then a year or two later they leave or you leave, and it was always heartbreaking. But I think pretty early on I just kind of got to the point where, like, it is what it is. But now looking back, like, man, my dad was so good about taking us traveling. When we lived in Germany, we went to Spain, to France, to England, Switzerland, and we went all over the place in Europe. Like a lot of things that most kids don't get to experience. We got to see the world.
Do you feel like it gave you like an edge, like having that lifestyle?
I feel like it gave me a lot more rounded kind of view of the world.
Definitely cultured, like seeing all those different places and experiencing that kind of life in different perspectives, like firsthand. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I remember when I was living in Germany, my dad, he had to leave. I think it's for like 3 or 4 weeks. He had on TDY, and he was like, I asked him, "Hey, Dad, where you go?" And he was like, "Can't tell you." And that was the first time I was like, "That's like, why can't you tell me?" He was like, "I'm going on, you know, orders or whatever you call it." And I remember being like, at that moment, feeling like, wow, like that's kind of crazy. My dad's just going off and can't tell me where he's going. That's wild. When he comes back, he has, I don't remember what they're called, but you know, the Afghani garb and the little hat.
Yeah.
And he brings me some Afghani dollars, right? And I'm like, so where were you at, Dad? And he's like, I can't tell you. I'm like, you know, like, and he just had this like, you know, shaking grin on his face, like, yeah, you know where I was now, but I can't technically tell you. So it was interesting having that aspect. It wasn't like too much of that, but there was still some, which was kind of cool. It made me feel like my dad was like a secret agent, you know?
Yeah.
Even though knowing my dad, he was totally not that, but it just made me have that sense of pride, you know, which was cool.
So you lived that life. You had your teens, come back to this area. You're at Beale. How was Beale for you?
Beale was fine. I mean, like I said, I didn't like go to school out there. My parents lived off base. So I was a little bit disconnected from the military life, but I'd go out there to visit. Both my parents worked out there. My mom worked for the reserves out there too. At that point, it kind of felt a little bit like foreign. It started feeling a little bit, you know, like weird. Like, I'm not a military kid. Like these are military kids. And I kind of stopped. I think, you know, I was going through puberty, going, 14, 15 years old. I was just kind of like, this is just a job. Like, I didn't really, that pride kind of started to wear off.
Well, the adventure started to wind down too, right? So it's kind of, my kids felt the same thing. I almost feel like my kids were spoiled, like growing up in Japan. But it was awesome that they had that transition to New Mexico. And they were like, oh, and I was like, you can't have it this good like all the time, dude, you know, so.
Yeah. Now my kids have all been in Yuba City their whole lives. And like, I yearn for them to experience all the cool stuff that I did, right? And so when I talk about, hey, let's go to Mexico, or let's go like to these places, and the kids are like, I don't want to go to Mexico. And I'm like, I wanted to slap them around. I'm like, you guys are missing out on so much cool things in life. Yeah. By just wanting to stay put, you know.
And speaking of freaking cool stuff, we were just talking about China. You spent some time in China. Do you mind going into that a little bit?
Yeah. So that whole kind of adventure started when I was, 13 or 14. And we grew up in a church here in town that was pretty big on missions. And a guy that goes to the church would lead trips to China, and he was smuggling Bibles. So a little history about the whole China, Hong Kong thing. Hong Kong, until 1992, was like a British, they called it SAR, a separate autonomous region. Yeah. But they had their own parliament, so they're a democratic country, I guess, but even though it's just a big city. that ended in '92, but China still allowed Hong Kong to have their own government. So it was still a free place. So we would go into Hong Kong and just load backpacks full of Bibles and devotionals, like all like just Christian life things, you know, and load them into backpacks and take trains or buses across the border. And then we would go somewhere into mainland China and meet a contact and drop them off.
Do some distribution and like get out
Yeah,
there.
and it was cool because like it made me feel like I was doing something illegal. Like, I mean, I was doing something illegal, but it was like a good illegal.
Yeah.
It was kind of like that. Like I feel like a renegade, you know. Like
Yeah.
I'm kind of badass, but I'm doing it like I'm a good badass, you know.
Yeah. And then the thrill of like, dude, like we can get caught, man. Like, you know.
Yeah, I got caught a couple times. Having an American passport is kind of like my saving grace. They would bring me into a room and confiscate all the books I had. And then it's funny because I picked up kind of some Chinese. I spoke it pretty good back then. And they would just yell at me in Mandarin. And I would just act like I didn't speak anything, but I would know what they're saying. And so I'd be like, I don't speak Chinese. I don't speak Chinese. And they'd keep me in a room and just try to intimidate me for, 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
And eventually just like give me a receipt. And then I could basically buy the Bibles back on my way back into Hong Kong. And they would make you pay some crazy fine. It wasn't that big of a deal because I had an American passport, but, speaking to some Chinese nationals, like it's pretty gnarly for them. At least I'm not sure how it is. I haven't really kept up with it now, but back then it was pretty gnarly. But yeah, so I went on a short trip when I was 14 for 2 weeks, and really fell in love with the culture. Fell in love with the scenery, just the desire to like go and help people was really like attractive to me. So
Yeah.
when I was 14, went there again when I was 16 on just 2 week trips. I got to go see the Great Wall of China. I went all the way to Western China to a city called Kunming, which is probably one of my favorite places in the world still. But I think on my second trip, I decided, hey, I don't know what I'm doing with my life after I graduate high school, but I want to go to China.
Yeah.
So I worked my whole senior year. I worked for an electrician, raised money as well, got supporters, and ended up just moving out there, living in Hong Kong. I had a tiny little apartment, worked for a church, and every day my job was to take groups from all over the world. Like we had Australian groups, German groups, American groups, Kiwi groups. We had people fly into Hong Kong all the time to do the same mission, which was really cool. So here I am, this scrawny 18-year-old kid with long, bushy hair, looked like an emo kid.
I've seen the pictures. It's legit.
Dude, I was such an
Oh
emo
my
kid.
gosh. Dude, you have this picture in your living room that I was looking at every time I go to your house. I'm like, dude, yes.
The one
Like,
with
it
me
just-
and Anna?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's in Xi'an, that's in China. And I make jokes that we were a lesbian couple.
Dude, it's such a perfect, it's the most perfect picture ever. Like, I wish I had something like that from my past other than, like, the Asian bowl cut. But, like, dude, I see that emo pictures. I'm like, that's so sick. Oh, that's awesome.
But yeah, so I was just 18-year-old kid. Like, literally, I got there and they're like, okay, this is how you do it. And here I am leading these groups of international people doing illegal activities in a foreign country. And it was wild, man. It was cool. It really taught me how to just, all right, we're just going to figure it out.
Yeah. And like, the mission, though, to, like, help, what you're really doing is you're helping provide people the opportunity to seek their own, spiritual path. And, like, the fact that you're able to do that, like, whether you're listening to this podcast and you're religious or not, like, it's just really cool that you took part in something bigger than yourself like that to be able to provide that opportunity, because there are a lot of people that do hunger for that kind of a thing, and they don't have the ability. And there are people like yourself that are out there today all around the world doing things like that to help people have the opportunity to just get something, right, to get a starting point, to get some kind of reference, some material so that they can pursue their own spiritual path. And we would hope that this world is full of freedoms like that to do that, but unfortunately people don't have that everywhere.
Yeah, I remember remember one of the trips, we were going up to Beijing, and Beijing at that time was super strict. Like, they were putting people in prison for having Bibles.
Yeah.
People were literally like ripping Bibles apart so they could share like a chapter, right? It got pretty gnarly up there. And so we got up there, and it's funny, I could only, some of these interactions, I could only like kind of compare to like a drug deal, because we would meet in dark alleys in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
But we'd have these just giant bags of Bibles. And so this old lady, she probably was like 80 years old. She meets us in this little warehouse in this dark alley, and she walks in the door and sees these bags of Bibles, and there's way more than she can carry. And she just starts crying and crying and crying. And she's like, I rode my bike 3 days
Holy crap.
to get my hands on what you guys have.
Yeah.
And she was crying because she's like, I can't bring this all back to my village.
Yeah.
I can only I'm 80 something years old. I can only carry so much, right? And so she was like happy, but also sad. Like, I can't take this all. So we have to find other people inside Beijing to take this. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it was all for naught, you know? So things like that really kind of strengthened my faith. It was kind of funny because right at that same time in my life, I was kind of battling with my own. Still am, but you know, it's one of those moments make you feel like you got an impact on the world, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
At the very least on somebody. And I think that's what life's about, is helping people and doing what you can to make an impact on other people, you know? Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was, I was there for 14 months. Got to go all over the country, man. I got to go to Tibet, which was a crazy experience. Tibet is beautiful. Tibet is, it's almost like otherworldly, man. You have these giant temples there, and you have these pilgrims that are basically doing, I don't know what to call them besides burpee walks. Like, they basically stand up, bow down, go prostrate, slide their hands across the ground, and they do that for miles. That's like their penance. I don't know much about the Buddhist religion, but that was their penance. They would walk around the whole temple like multiple times a day doing the burpee walks.
Oh, wow.
And seeing that, like, man, like, that's how dedicated you are. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. Damn. So you got to see Tibet, you got to go around China. You had this amazing mission, this amazing experience. And what brought you back, and around what time frame? Like, what was your age when you came back to the States? And I kind of continued on the next chapter.
So I was 19 when I came back. And my goal was to kind of like come back for a short time, and then my initial goal was like I want to move back to China and make that my life. The problem that I had is at that time I didn't want to just smuggle Bibles. Like, I always didn't like the fact that I was getting money from people to support me so I could do this. Like, I wanted to go there and do a job and make my own money and help people on my own. I just never really liked that whole like having to ask for money and be reliant on other people. Mm-hmm. And so that was the original goal. It's like, all right, I'm going to take a year and save money and figure out what I'm going to do when I go back to China. That whole time kind of coincided with me and Anna started dating. And I was like, sweet, now I got a wife that's going to go with me. You know, well, I hopefully would have a wife at that point. I think pretty quickly life happened, and those dreams kind of fell apart, which is just part of life.
Sure.
And went on to I worked at Starbucks, I worked for Comcast, I worked a few different jobs, and was like just really not feeling fulfilled, you know. So yeah, that all happened, and then kind of felt that itch to start going again. So I was looking into Kansas City. Went out there, and at that same time, me and Anna had Anna's my wife. We had broken up, and I was like, you know what? Screw Yuba City. I'm out of here. And that was like my one of my attempts. Like, all right, I'm out. I'm leaving this town. I have that itch just to move every so often. You know, I think that's the military kid in me.
It's got to be the military kid. That's the thing.
I just like, I'll get somewhere, I'll love it for a little while, and then I'm like, all right, I got to get out of here. And it's like an overwhelming, like, I got to leave. Anyway, so me and Anna had taken a break, and I was like, all right, I'm out of here, moving to Kansas City. My goal at that point was to go to do you know what IHOP is, or International House of Prayer?
Yeah.
A friend of mine was on the worship team for IHOP, and so my goal was to go and just spend time at IHOP. And in that 2 years or so, my life had kind of fallen apart. I had kind of gotten away from my faith, gotten away from just kind of my goal in life. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna go there and recenter. I had a job for Comcast, so I transferred out to Kansas City, working for Comcast. And it's funny. So here's a story about Kansas City. I didn't know anything about Kansas City. I'd only been there for a short visit, and so I rented an apartment in Kansas City, planning on working for Comcast. And it was on this street called Troost. And Troost is a street that runs north and south in Kansas City. And historically, the white people live on the west side, and the minorities live on the east side.
Oh wow! So it was like segregated.
Segregated from back in the day, right? And still, like, even now, it's like, do you live on the east or the west side of Troost? You know?
Oh wow!
Because it typically gets more ghetto the more east you go. I didn't know that, so I rented an apartment right on the east side of Troost, and so I'm moving my stuff into this apartment. I get there, I had a great cross country trip, moving my stuff out there, and I hear my buddy go, "Whoa, dude, calm down, calm down." And I'm bent over, grabbing a guitar case out of my trunk. And I'm like, I sit up like, what are you talking about, calm down? And I look over, and there's this dude with a gun to my buddy's head.
Oh, crap.
And he robs us, steals our cell phones, our wallets, takes my car keys, my apartment keys. So I was locked out of my brand new apartment. like we're stuck.
Welcome to Kansas City.
And after this whole thing, my buddy goes like, "Why would you get an apartment on the east side of Troost?" like, as if I was supposed to know that. I'm
yeah.
Like, dude, this is like kind of insult to injury. You get robbed, and now you're telling me I made the wrong decision. But that being robbed was like one of the biggest blessings for me, because he had some friends already in Kansas City, and I just went and like, hey, we're gonna go find our friend Sarah. Mm-hmm. We went and met up with her, and I realized very quickly, like, I came out here to kind of recenter, but I had like a career, full-time job. Like, I'm single, I could do whatever I want. And simultaneously, that was happening like on a Sunday night. I was supposed to go to work for my first day at Comcast on Tuesday. And so I found a payphone the next day. I was like, hey, I can't come in because I just got robbed.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, if you don't come in tomorrow, you're fired. And I was like, well,
I guess I'm fired.
I guess I'm fired,
Yeah.
Like, it was funny because at that point, I never felt more okay with the decision that I made. And because of that, I make a really long story short, like, I found people there that I really, really kind of vibed with. I walked into a bar, and there was people having a Bible study in this bar.
That's crazy.
And I was like, these are the people that I want to be with, and yeah, I spent 2.5 years there. Eventually Anna chased me down, and we got back together. We got pregnant with Selah, our oldest. And then when we got pregnant with Ellie, Anna was like, hey, we need to go back home to be with my family. I need my family around. So I begrudgingly agreed. and we've been back here since. So
Yeah.
this is one of those things, like, everything kind of happens for a reason, you know?
And you were telling me that you started to go to school when you guys came back to.
Yeah. So throughout high school and after China and in Kansas City, I was a big kind of art nerd. I was really into photography. So my plan when I came back was like, all right, I'm going to go to school to be a fine art photographer. Maybe get a job as a photojournalist, something like that.
Sure.
So that was my passion, and that was my goal. And then when we got pregnant, I was like, I can't be a starving artist, right? So kind of switched gears, and as soon as we found out Anna was pregnant, I enrolled in an EMT class in Kansas City. And I remember Sayla was born during one of our final exams in EMT school, and I was worried that I was going to fail because not being there. But so then I went that route. Instead of a starving artist, I was a starving EMT. Then eventually moved home, back here to Yuba City. And after that, it was medic school, and kind of off to the races as far as that is concerned. I kind of got a crash course in EMS. Saw some pretty gnarly stuff.
And what was the preparation time to where you're like full on active, like from the time where you started going to school and the time that you started to actually be on the job and hit the ground running? What was the time frame like for you?
Well, so you can be an EMT, which is only a semester class, and you can you get a job right out the gate from that, right? And I did have a short term, like as an EMT security guard at a casino, which is funny seeing me as a security guard because I'm like very much not security guard.
Until you get your hands on someone's collar.
But then medic school is another didactic's 9 months, but then you have clinicals and an internship. So that takes ballpark a year and a half. So you're looking at like 2 years of school and training.
What was your clinicals at?
Is that right out here in Marysville?
Oh, cool. Oh, so you're at right out?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's got plenty to do there.
Yeah, and it was cool because I got my my internship at Bi-County Ambulance here in Yuba City too, where I still work, because I had just gotten a job right at the end of medic school with Bi-County as an EMT, and then they let me do my internship with them for free.
That's cool.
So long as if there's an open shift, they would take me off my internship and make me work.
Nice.
But man, I was a black cloud for a long time. There was a triple homicide that happened on Franklin. A guy walked in and just shot his ex-wife, his ex-mother-in-law, and ex-sister-in-law. And then the cops shot him. And on my internship, I had to go take care of the guy, not the victims, but the assailant, or whatever you want to call him. And I remember it was my first real experience with gnarly trauma.
Yeah.
This guy, the cops, they basically hogtied him with handcuffs, and this dude's dead. And I'm having my cardiac leads, what do I do? And I'm putting him on the cardiac monitor, and my preceptor just kind of watching me and just kind of chuckling because he sees what I don't see. And then when I move the guy, a flap of his head just comes off and his brain just leaks out of his head. And oh shit, he's dead. And I'd never seen brains before, and I was like, welcome to EMS, when you see this dude just got shot through the back of the head. So yeah, that was my introduction.
It's a pretty gnarly introduction.
Yeah.
I see a lot of folks I talk to and they're younger and I want to get into this stuff, and I'm like, cool, how's your ability to handle, the gore and the violence and just the things that you're gonna see? And I think I can handle it. I'm like, have you ever experienced anything like that? And they're like, nah, I'll be all right. I'm just like, don't go into this thing ignorant, dude. I don't have that background, but I know plenty of folks. I obviously know you. And I'm like, dude, you're going to see some stuff. You're probably going to see more than even a lot of combat veterans see, because this is your daily life. You know, it's like every day you don't know what you're gonna roll up on, and for that to be your introduction, it clearly set a foundation for one crazy ride. I mean, you've been doing this for what, like pushing 15, 16?
Yeah, so I mean, I became an EMT right when Sayla was born, and she's 16.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I've been doing it for 16 years. And yeah, it's funny. I ask people that question too. Like, can you handle it? Can you handle it? And the answer is nobody can. That's my opinion. We have different tolerances for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But at a certain point, it gets everybody. I remember, a few years in my career, the mental health kind of aspect started getting more popular. And I was like, yeah, I believe that. Like, other people have issues. I believe that, but not me. I'm good.
You think you're bred that way? Like you're prepared that way so you can handle like a certain threshold? Because like, I know in the military you have people that are bred for a certain way, right? Like Marines need to feel like they're like the biggest, baddest, right? The pilots need to feel like they're invincible. EOD guys need to feel like they're Superman. They can't be hurt because you have a job that you have to be able to accomplish. Do you think that that's what they did for you guys, or was this something that just kind of came with like?
I think it was something kind of innate,
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad now that people are preparing themselves for it, and like in
Sure.
schools, they're talking about it now. When I went through school, there was no talk about mental health, or what you should do in those situations. So, like I said, when it got popularized, I was like, yeah, like certain people, the lesser ones, will have issues with it.
Yeah.
But I don't. I've seen the gnarliest of the gnarly, and
Still here.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of like the old timers, you have some of the old timers saying like, "Oh, I never had that when I was your age." I'm like, no, you did. You were just an asshole.
Yeah.
You just
And depending on the generation, it's like, and you're not even willing to admit how bad you have it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that's another big part of my story is all that stuff. But yeah, I've seen some pretty wild stuff.
Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say let's get into like the most traumatic, right? Because I'm not trying to get you to go there. But like, what are some like, maybe give me like a top 3, just like crazy experiences.
Well, I'll give you a few, and I'll try to start off with a funny one. Unfortunately, most of them are pretty gnarly. But I'll try to open up with a funny one / gross one. So during my clinicals, I was working as an ER tech as well. So back up for a second. During my clinicals and internship, I was working part-time on the ambulance, part-time for the hospital, and doing my clinicals. So I was just nonstop EMS. And anyway, so I was working as an ER tech, and walking down the hall, and there's, crowded hospital. Crowded hospital is always packed full of people. There's this older lady in the hallway on a bed. She was probably like 65, something like that. And as I walked by, she's like, "Hey, sir, can I have a blanket?" I was like, "Yeah, absolutely, ma'am." Went and got her a blanket, and as I was spreading the blanket over her, she was like, "Oh, I wish all the nurses I dealt with were as cute and handsome as you," or something like that. And I was like, I don't care who you are. Like, it's always nice to hear a compliment.
Yeah.
It's from someone who's
like, sweet old lady.
Yeah, sweet old lady, right? Like,
yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, thanks, ma'am. Have a great day." And so there's that patient's nurse was probably 10 feet down the hallway, and she saw the whole interaction. And she walked up to me and said, "Hey, that lady's got a wound on her leg." I'm like, "Oh." And she was like, "And there's maggots in it." And I was like, "Oh, gross." Like, I think the whole compliment thing where I was like, "Oh, do I really how do I still want to take a compliment?" I'll still take it.
Yeah.
But so she had maggots and a wound in her leg, and I was just like, "Oh, that's filthy." Went on with my day, and then probably about 30 minutes later, there's a page that goes over the intercom. "Hey, Jordan, to room 13, please." And I know room 13, that's where we do all our decon stuff. It's a brick room where they did like all the drug tests because it was kind of private, and it was just basically a big shower decon room. And I'm like, oh, what's going on in room 13? And my thought is like, oh, I'm going to help the cops with a drug test or something like
Sure.
So I walk into this room, and I see Tara, the nurse, all gowned up. And then this sweet old lady, butt-ass naked in the middle of the room. I'm like, whoa. And I'm just kind of like, whoa. And I look at Tara, and she goes, she's got him in her vagina.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm like, I'm like kind of shell-shocked for a second. And I'm like, okay, all right, let's do this. So I gown up, and I'm all like gloved up. And she literally has got a garden hose and just like spraying at her leg. And then she kind of bends down and starts just like full blast garden hose
the
to the cooter.
undercarriage, yeah.
And maggots are like dumping out of there. Foul. Just
Ugh.
foul. Worst part. So we're all gowned up, right? But we're still just wearing our tennis shoes and our scrubs, right? The freaking drain is clogged.
Oh my gosh.
So not only are we doing this, now I'm splashing around in vaginal maggot water, and my socks are soaked, and I'm just like,
Oh my God.
just like super disgusting. That was probably one of the grossest calls I've ever ran is that. But as far as ones that are, kind of challenging and like kind of challenge your worldview, this one's pretty sad, but we got called to a gunshot victim in this trailer park. And we get there, and there's this old guy sitting on his porch. And I don't really, like, my initial assessment, I was like, this guy's just kind of sitting on the porch with his head kind of down.
Mm.
So I literally walk up to him like, hey, what's going on, sir? Like, what's going on? And I look down, and there's a revolver right next to him. I'm like, oh crap! Like, I don't want to be near this guy with a revolver. Like, so I take a few steps back, and right around that time, the cops are showing up. And I didn't notice, but he had a little 380, and he shot himself through the bottom of his chin, and it went through his chin, out his nose. Dude's still talking to me. Like,
Wow.
he's kind of like, like coughing a little bit. And then, come to find out, he'd taken the revolver and shot himself again, twice, right? And the second one went out his eye.
Wow.
And I look down, I see a note, so I instinctively grab this note, and we start transporting this guy. And he's good vital signs, everything. We get to the hospital, and the son kind of grabs me and starts telling me about him. Like, he had stage 4 prostate cancer, hadn't eaten a meal in 4 months, was skin and bones, and just wanted to kind of go out on his terms instead of dying slowly, painfully, and in a hospital,
Mm-hmm.
And that was the first time that I really had like that experience. Like, would I do the same thing if I was in his position?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, probably, man. Like, I prior to that, I'd kind of thought about people, committing suicide. Like, oh, that's just cowardly. That's just your, an easy way out or whatever.
Yeah, this one's kind of complicated, right? Because you have a guy that's like, do I really want to go through that suffering if I know that this is my fate?
Yeah.
I've thought about that too, because I've had buddies that have committed suicide, and they've done it for various reasons, and I've shared multiple sides of the fence kind of opinions of the situation, and thinking about folks in that position, because I've known of folks that have been suffering, especially with illness, and they're just like, dude, I'd rather just go out right now, like old Yeller me, you know?
Yeah, it was a very strange realization for me. you're just kind of coming to terms with death. That's, it's coming for all of us. And yeah, that was just one that kind of has always stuck with me. Like, what would I do? And it went from, oh, this guy's a coward, to like, shoot, man, maybe I'd be the same boat. So yeah, things like that we deal with, and it's beyond seeing the gnarly things, it's a philosophical, spiritual, like dump truck hitting you, like, shoot, how it's challenging your beliefs, especially growing up in church, and you believe a certain way and you're told a certain thing for so long. When things come to you in real life, it's different.
And you get to you have all that time to process it afterwards, and you're just like, man, like when you have processing time for something, especially when it comes to putting yourself in someone's shoes, you would be surprised at the things. I know you can relate to that. It's like, you'd be surprised at the stuff that your mind comes up with. You're like, did not think that was a conclusion that I would reach, Yeah, that's wild, dude. What's another one you got? I know you got more, but...
Well, you ready for a sad one?
Yeah, why not?
I mean...
We already cracked the can of worms open.
So this is... And this will be my last one. This one was a big one for me. This one probably started my mental health decline.
I think I already know which one it is, but... yeah.
But... we had a dispatcher that worked for the ambulance company I worked for, and long story short, she hung herself, and I was the responding medic. And I remember myself and my partner got there, and family was crying, and we see this body hanging, and at that point I had run hundreds of CPRs, hundreds of traumas, and I felt very comfortable in that scenario. But for whatever reason, I had this weird feeling of panic. Like, what do I do? It was like, I can't really even describe it to you. It was just so unusual to me that I had this feeling of panic. And my partner looks down and goes, "Is that Crystal?" No. I kind of no, why would you even, that's a dumb thing to even say. And then we look down and we see a piece of mail from Bi-County, from the ambulance company. It was her pay stub with her name on it. We found out it was her, and that was a crazy realization. 4 days prior to that, I introduced her to Anna, to my wife. We were at a bar having a couple beers. And she was like the most bubbly, kind person that I knew. Apparently she had just found out that she was not able to have kids, and would never be able to have kids, and that really messed her up. And she did that. Yeah, that one kind of started my mental health decline, and after that, in those 2 weeks, I mean, I had that call, I had a gnarly stabbing, I had an 11-year-old mauled to death by pit bulls. Like, it was just like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And that's just how it happens sometimes.
And a lot of people don't realize, like, they think about all the evils in the world, they think about all the tragedies in the world, and a lot of people are so quick to just be like, well, that's sad, swipe. Right, and they go to the next story, they go to the next thing. Oh, look, a football highlight. So they don't think about the fact that there's people that deal with that stuff, those sad things, those tragic things, those angering things, the things that are just that make you like, it really is stunning, and it really like just gets you, right? But it's easy for the average person just to move on. Oh, that sucks, and then you keep going. It's just like when they drive past a scene, like maybe it's like a major accident or something like that, or I think about like the panic, and then you think about like how you're talking about it's someone that you just saw before, and they seem like they're just fine, the most bubbly person in the world. Like I dealt with a lot of suicides, unfortunately, when I was in New Mexico. I was doing mortuary team out there, and unfortunately, the majority of my calls were for suicides. And even seeing a guy who was my neighbor, when I got the call that we had a case, I had to get my stuff and then go meet the cops and stuff. It was a suicide on base. I remember our lead. She was one of my officers. She was our mortuary officer. She calls me. She's like, "Hey, do you need the address?" And I remember looking outside the window and I'm seeing the flashing lights. I was like, pretty sure I know the address. And I remember just looking out the window and I could literally see everyone lined up. I already see people like with tape, and I see an ambulance there. I see the police. I see like the federal agents that the Air Force has, OSI agents. And I'm just like, I'll be right across the way in a second. Hang up the phone, get over there. And it was a guy who had shot himself. He had cleaned his house to like move out, or even like an open house. Like it was just really cleaned up. He even had his trash like hung up on a door on a chair in the dining table. It was like the last thing. It's like, hey man, on your way out, when you take me out, take my trash out, and then the house is ready to move in. It's kind of a thing. And fast forward in that situation, we were doing like a dignified transfer to get his remains back home. And I remember his troop was there, and he was so angry. And he was angry because the troop was suicidal at one point, and that guy was the one who got him not to be suicidal. He's the one who lifted him up. And they're defenders. They're both cops. And I remember he was sitting there and he's like, I'm just so pissed at him, dude. I'm so mad. He's like, how is it that this guy spent all this time and effort into saving my life just to take his? Come to find out it was because he had, like lost his family in like a bad divorce kind of a thing. And the guy was just living with his own depression, and wasn't able to really find a way to help himself, but he was helping others.
Yeah.
And I remember during the dignified transfer, he's like, the unit, this is what pissed me off. The unit chose that kid to be his escort to bring his remains back home. And I remember I had to open up the casket for him to get a final look before, and I remember he was so angry. Like I had to like kind of get in between him and the remains because I felt like he was going to start like hitting the remains. And it's just so sad, man, when you get that kind of stuff. And when you think about, I think about in reflection of those years, and that time that I spent doing that kind of stuff. And I think about people that are in your position, the stuff that you do day in, day out. And I just wonder how ignorant the rest of the world is when it comes to the fact that like someone does this on a regular basis. They respond. They're helping people. They're saving lives. They're losing lives. They're going and responding to someone who's already gone. You guys just do this so often, and that comes with a lot of trauma. And I know you and I have sat around here at the gym and like had conversations with guys that we know, and we talk about a lot of things. And you were talking about a particular type of therapy tool that you discovered for you that worked pretty well. Do you mind telling us about that?
Yeah. So, if you mind if I back up a little bit and just kind of tell you, how I started realizing it. I started getting angry. Like, I think most of you guys that know me, I'm not an angry person. I'm a pretty laid back person. I started just like blowing up. There was probably about a year and a half, maybe even 2 years, where, man, if I could go back in time and take those years back and change them, I would in a heartbeat, just because I was angry with my kids, man. Like, it really bums me out to think that my kids would remember those 2 years as part of their life, like I want them to forget about it. Like, and I wasn't sleeping. There's a whole myriad of issues that started coming up that I didn't even recognize until I went to a mental health kind of meeting in an academy. And it was like one of those WebMD things where you're like, if you have this and this and this, you probably have cancer, right?
Yeah.
And so I at first I didn't buy it, but I started going down this checklist, like, do you have this? Yes. Do you have this? Yes. And I was like, crap.
Oh crap.
Like,
yeah.
I think I've got some mental health issues. Like, and that to me was like the hardest thing to admit to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having this fight with Anna, and maybe this sounds silly, but she looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're doing this because you're depressed." And at that time, being depressed was like, for me, it was like a huge insult. Like, I'm not depressed. Like,
I don't get depressed.
I don't succumb to that.
Yeah.
But I remember her saying that, and like those words just like hit my soul. Like, oh my gosh, she's right. So the therapy, I decided to look into this therapist who specializes in cops and fire and EMS. If you're hearing this, Melissa Freitas, thank you so much. You changed my life. She does this therapy called EMDR. It's eye movement. Sorry, guys, I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's EMDR. Mm-hmm. But it's pretty stinking interesting. So the theory behind it is when you go into REM sleep, when your eyes are moving back and forth, your brain is taking short-term memories and putting them into long-term memories, and that happens every 3 weeks or so. That's moved from short-term to long-term.
Good download.
But when you've got an injury, that process doesn't happen. So all those memories, especially the gnarly ones, are stuck in your short-term memory. That's why you get the flashbacks. That's why you're stuck in a fight or flight type situation. Your body's always ready for a stressful scenario. So the science behind it, I thought it was really cool. But when I went to this therapist, I'm thinking, she's going to sit there with the clipboard and like, so tell me how you feel about that.
Yeah.
Like that was my first experience with a therapist. And I remember I started kind of unloading some of the things that I saw. And the first words out of her mouth was like, "That fucking sucks, Jordan." And I remember being like hit by her dropping the F-bomb in therapy. We're like,
you could do that?
Whoa, yeah, you could do that. But it was it was so comforting, like that someone can just be real and yeah. So it was painful. I went through about I think about 9 months of that, something like that.
Wow.
And it was going in there 2 or 3 times a week, holding these vibrating paddles and digging deep into every single like gnarly detail of some of these memories, and not only like going through the memories of themselves, how each part of the memory made me feel. Like, for example, I told you about the 11-year-old who was mauled to death, right? On that call, he was 11, so I'm like, I got to get him to the hospital. Which was, I should have just said, no, I'm sorry, he's dead, right? And left it, but he was 11, we could do something.
Yeah.
And so I brought him in, and I exposed all the nurses to this gnarly situation that nobody in the whole world should ever, witness. And that part kills me. Still to this day, it kills me, the fact that I made that decision to do that. But that guilt, I remember the look on the face of the nurse when I brought this kid in was like absolute terror.
Yeah. I can't imagine.
And so working through the guilt, the like indecision, all that stuff, and really coming to terms like with those decisions and with those things, like I still see them in my head and they still like disgust me, but I'm not like, I have tools to handle them now.
Yeah.
And it was super, super important and impactful in my life. I mean, around that same time, I started Jiu-Jitsu. And that combo of Jiu-Jitsu and therapy, man, I don't know where I'd be without it. I wasn't suicidal back then, but man, my marriage was on the rocks. My kids hated me. It was a really rough time. And so yeah, getting on the mats and therapy changed everything for me.
When you went in for the first time, What was that day one experience like for you?
So my son had been on the mats before me. We got him on the mats, and he was loving jiu-jitsu. And then Jag is our professor, kept on egging me on to get on the mats. And I was like, this stuff is lame, dude. I don't want to be rolling around on the floor. Like I was in the UFC, but I was like, all I wanted to see is like the big like slug fest, right?
Stand them up and knock them out.
Yeah, like when guys got on the ground, I was like, get up, come on. I hated it. I didn't think it was cool at all. But then Jag kept on egging me on. So finally, I'm like, all right, if anything else but just to shut Jag up, I'm going to get on the mats for it. And
you know he's a wizard with his words. So
yeah,
he's like,
I know. He's
pulling you in.
He is a wizard. And Jag, no offense, Jag, but he was an older guy, right?
Yeah.
He's very obviously in shape. But I was like, dude's like 50 years old. I'm 34 at the time. I can take him, right? Easy. Like, at the very least, I'll be able to put up a fight, you know? Jag wraps me up so quick, takes my back, has me in a rear naked choke, and then puts his hand over my mouth and my nose. And he's whispering in my ear.
Yeah.
And I was just flopping. just that all that anger, all that frustration and fear is all coming out. And I remember just being like, all right, I got to do this. Instantly hooked. I remember, like, if anything, my goal is to beat Jag's ass. Still hasn't happened. But it changed everything for me.
It like gives you, man, like I remember how helpless I felt when I first did it. And I've talked about it before on the podcast, but like just that when you think you have a realization of who you are and then you quickly realize who you aren't.
Yeah.
I think Ray touched on that too. It's just like the most humbling and embarrassing, but like it could be like the most life-changing thing. Like for me, it was life-changing because I remember I thought to myself, I was like, man, I've been in some fights here and there. I've dealt with some adversities. I was like, I'm a pretty tough dude. I think I could take whatever. And then I showed up and I was just like, no, I can't at all. In fact, like I've talked about it many times to a lot of people. It's like 2 weeks in, I almost quit because I was like, I don't think I can physically handle this. Like, I think I might bitch out. Like I really do. And I'm glad I didn't. In fact, it was probably Anne's fault that I continued. I should thank her. Because for her, she's like, dude, you're not going to quit, are you? And I was just like, now that you said that, like, and you said it in that tone, like, you know. But Jag's one of the people that gave me my first genuine ass whooping on the mat. And I was just like, that was awesome. You know, and it wasn't just Jag. I had quite a few people at the time kind of hit me with the same line. They're like, hey, man, like, what are you going to do? Like, your family's in trouble. There's nothing you can do about it. You're just going to sit there and watch them, you know, in trouble. You're going to get up. You're gonna freaking rescue them. And I'm just like, I don't know how. They're like, figure out a way. And I'm like, oh, God. And it really does bring a lot out of you. Like when you have someone that's talking to you and bringing it to your level, especially as hard-headed people. Yeah. Like I need someone to tell me that kind of stuff. I need to not only get pinned down and not only be put in the chokehold, but to get like my nose covered. Like he's one of the many that do it, but it's funny when Jag does it. I think it's funny. It's the funniest when Jag does it because he's not doing it to like be pompous. He's just like, hey, this is how helpless you are in this position currently. Yeah. And like he just has his way where he's like, hey man, like, I bet you're not gonna let that happen again, you know? And it's just like, oh man, you're right.
It's funny how many guys in this gym have a Jag story, and they're almost always the same type story. Like he just absolutely obliterated me. Yeah. And got me hooked. Yep. And
here we are, you know.
Yeah. I think that's his. He probably has sold more memberships doing that.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people come in here and they're the tough guy, and then they roll with Jag and they roll with a couple other people, and they're just like, holy crap, dude. All right, I'm in. And it's I don't know why it is like that with jiu-jitsu. It's like I don't know of any other martial art that I could think of that introduces people like that. They're like, we're gonna make you feel like a helpless baby man child. Yeah. Like here's your diaper, and here's your gi and your white belt. Like, you know, and it's just the craziest way to indoctrinate people is like to bring them onto the mat, literally show them you ain't shit. Yeah. But to do it in the most like friendly, nice way. And then you're just like, absolutely. And then you come back for more day after day after day. Like when At what point do you think you started to feel like, oh, I feel kind of comfortable? Like, at what point did it happen at white belt, or did you have a point in white belt where you're like, hey, like I think I'm actually like in?
Dude, I don't think I got that until I was probably halfway through my blue belt.
Yeah.
I just feel like when I first started, I went full bore. I was at the gym probably 4 or 5 days a week, just constantly getting beaten up. Like I got hooked so hard, so quick. But once you get over that initial, like, all right, I'm nothing, and I'm going to learn this, right? I was never like, all right, I'm gonna go find this one person and beat him. I was like, I just want to get good at it. And the beauty, I think one of the beautiful things about jiu-jitsu is you're never good at it, right? Like you're never. I don't feel like anyone should be like, oh, I'm really good at jiu-jitsu, because there's always so much more to learn.
Yeah, this is always a bigger fish, man. Like,
yeah, always bigger fish.
Yeah, to make a claim like that, it's like that's kind of wild.
I think when I first started, my goal was like, all right, I'm gonna get to blue belt, and kind of a silly goal because like it's just a rank, right? Like my goal should have been to get good at jiu-jitsu, and really it was also just an outlet. Like I was going through therapy, and I talked about all the stuff to the therapist, but I needed to get that physical angst out. And you talk to Anna, like if I don't roll, still to this day,
Yeah, we talk about that all the time.
I get pent up, I get irritable. But yeah, so to answer your question, I don't think I really felt comfortable until about halfway through my blue belt. I got my blue belt, and I was stoked, but at the same time I was like, I'm still not good at this, And I went through this massive plateau where I just felt like I wasn't getting any better. I remember I talked to one of our other professors, Sean. I was like, hey, I'm just not getting any better. I'm trying this. I'm rolling like a bunch of times. Like, what's going on? And he would tell me, like, if you're on a plateau, keep on pushing, because you're on the very bottom of a huge, uptick in your skills. And I've held on to that because it's so true. When you get into a spot where you're feeling like you're not progressing and you're getting your butt kicked by white belts, keep on going.
Yeah, it's cool, the consistency in that advice, because I hear that from literally everyone, especially like the guys that are like brown belt and up. You talk to them and you're talking about plateaus, and they're like, dude, you have to hang on. Like, you have to fight through that plateau, because as soon as you get outside of that plateau, bro, you're almost like on an elevator ride.
Yeah.
It's insane. True. And you jump. Like, I think a lot of it has to do with the persistence, and like you just keep finding, like keep searching for like a new way, right? Keep trying to problem solve, and then when you finally do it, it's almost like you unlock something. It's kind of like in a video game where like you're looking at like attributes to like a character, and you're like, God, I really want to like build this thing up, and you just can't do it. But when you unlock it, all of a sudden you've unlocked like 4 different things.
Yep.
And that's always happened to me with jiu-jitsu, especially. When you're talking about like you didn't feel that until about blue belt, like I think for me, I had this mindset when I was a white belt where in my head I was like, okay, I don't necessarily like consider myself. I didn't as a white belt until much later. I didn't consider myself like I was actually in, because I felt like I was just like I had a learner's permit, like I was in driver's ed, and then I kept telling myself for blue belt, because I also had the blue belt goal, but for me it was like, I know I'm not going to quit if I get blue belt. And I know like once I have a blue belt, I have a license, and I'll actually be able to start doing jiu-jitsu. That's what I told myself. And I remember I started to feel really good though around like 3-stripe white belt. I don't know what it was. I think it was just because like finally I was starting to like get people here and there, and I felt like my defense was starting to like get better. And then when I got to like the 4th stripe, I was like, okay, as long as something catastrophic doesn't happen, I'm just waiting for my blue belt now, and then I'll have my driver's license, and I'll feel better. And I think once I got my blue belt, I was just like, I couldn't have been more wrong. I was just like, dude, this is like just one stop of many. And I had this weird delusional thing that I was like, once I get blue belt, bro, I'm legit. And I was like, I'm not. Like, dude, as a blue belt, like even now as purple belt, like I'm like, there's days where I come in and I'm like, where's that blue belt out? Like, I'm going to put that blue belt back on right quick. Like, you know, and it's just like a constant humbler, constant reminder. I mentioned that a lot in previous podcasts, was like, dude, it's like the ultimate humbler. Like, does not matter how good you think you are. It makes me think about like a conversation I had with Justin. For those of you who've been on the podcast, like we had Justin a couple episodes ago, and he's talking about how like there's always a bigger fish, but like I remember specifically he went to like big time dudes up north, and he went up there to the Rice Brothers, and he was just telling me about how like insane everyone is. And he's just like, man, it's just crazy. It kind of opens up your eyes. It gives you like a wider aperture as to like what kind of jiu-jitsu is out there, because the more you cross-train and the more people you get a chance to get exposed to, you're just like, dude, it's never ending. It seems like it's just like a million combinations and a million different ways to do something. And you think you have the way, but quickly you realize like the way you do it is a way, one of endless possibilities. Yeah. Because there's stuff that I like to do, and then you'll show me how you do it, and I'm like, damn it, I like that way better. You know, and then we all do that for each other. But like, man, jiu-jitsu is like just the craziest thing. Like, going back to your point, like the mental health thing, this has been one of the greatest mental health things for me. And going back even further, like I didn't want to interrupt you earlier, but like my first interaction with mental health, my first provider I ever had, she asked me to tell a story about my first deployment, and I told her all this stuff, and she's doing the whole like, oh damn dude, like she's like, oh man, and I'm like, okay, well, like she's at least acknowledging that this sucks, like that, okay, that's cool. I was like, so it doesn't make me feel like I'm like in my head about certain things. And then all she had for advice for me was, wow, it sounds like you have really good coping mechanisms. And I was like, thanks for nothing, dude, because like that's basically where the therapy stopped. I was just like, when I got to this point where I'm like, all right, cool, she's going to give me this like unlocked breakthrough. No, it just like fell flat. And like for me at that point, therapy had like ended. I was like, I'm done with therapy. The only therapist that I had outside of that helped me and that made me to like correct that way of thinking was I had an Army major who was the one who got me into it in the first place. She basically, I had told her I was bitching and complaining in her office. After I had taken a troop in, and she's like, dude, get your shit together, bro. She's like, it probably didn't work for you because you probably think you're the shit. And I'm like, what do you mean? I was like, I'm not a cocky person. She's like, no, it's just that you think that you can handle the things that you have. She's like, that's what I mean. She's like, it's not that you think you're better than everyone. She's like, it's not that at all. It's just that you think that it's outside of your abilities to like be shaken to deal with all these things, and you're expecting that if it's going to be something big, it's going to be something bigger than what you've already done for yourself. And so everything that you get, any advice, any type of thing that's said to you is kind of just like below like what you've already accomplished. Yeah. And she's like, you're kind of like ruining your own therapy. And I had to think about that for a long time. So as I progressed in therapy and I started doing things, I was like, okay, this kind of stuff I have to be mindful of. And it was very helpful for me. But then when I stepped on the mats, I was just like, dude, yeah, I need this. Like, this is what I need. I think a lot of it is, and correct me or steer me in a different direction if it doesn't like resonate with you. But for me, sometimes I just need to have the release of stress. I need to have the physical exertion. I need to earn it in order to feel satisfied. And for me, it's like that time when like, and I use you as an example, right? Because I have no shame being like, dude, like you're one of my favorite people to roll with. Period. Like you're on my top 3 list. But like when we're rolling, especially you and me, like there's days where like we've kind of taken it easy, but most days we're kind of like, hey man, we both got some shit going on. Like let's just kill each other. And it's always the funnest thing. The fact that I was just like talking to Jag, I was like, hey man, you got that footage of me and Jordan's last roll? And he was just like, well, why? And I was just like, because we were just like cussing each other out the whole time. And he's like, what do you mean? And I remember thinking to myself, I'm like, this just sounds like the stupidest reason to get footage of a roll. But for me, it's because like I found so much peace after that roll. Like I was good for like a week straight, because like for me, I was like, you and I are throwing all these subs, we're throwing all these combinations, and we're escaping, and we're just like getting mad at each other. Like, how the hell did you get out of that armbar? How'd you get out of that choke? And we're just like throwing these crazy subs on each other, and we get out and like we're laughing, we're having a good time. I thought about zero problems. I thought about zero stress. Any of the laundry list of shit I got going on at home. that I might have to start getting into, or like how am I going to make this work, that work. I was just thinking about like, dude, it's just me and my buddy trying to kill each other, and for this brief moment of time, there's no worries, and it does something to your brain.
Yeah.
And then you get to do it with like 5, 6, 7 more people in one night, or whatever. Because we're night guys. I don't even know what time is it, dude? It's 8:46 right now.
Yeah.
We went to the morning class, hanging out with the zombie crew, and doing like a self-defense class this morning, and it was like really cool. Get to hang out with people, get roles in that we don't normally get in. Yeah. But like, we are night crew guys, so it's cool being in the night crew because the class will be over, let's say 8 o'clock, and people are there till like 9, dude. Like, and like I touched on it in the last YouTube video that we posted. It says you got people like Caleb that's kind of pointing out the fact that like in our gym we got people that like actually want to stick around. I think it's because that mindset of like, or that realization of like what math therapy does for you, it resonates with so many people. And it's like, dude, like I don't want it to end right away. Like I want to hang out, and I really look forward to when the roles, even like when they die down and everyone's just kind of huddled up. Like we usually just plop down and we're dying, catching our breath and stuff, but we're like either laughing about something or we're talking about actual life. And like, dude, that's freaking priceless, man.
Yeah.
And
the community here is second to none.
Yeah. And it's cool that like we aren't just a community here. Like a lot of us actually maintain relationships. Like our families hang out quite often, and like being able to sit there and go to your son's like, 8th grade grad, like stuff like that. Like it's just it's awesome that like we all met through this platform, but we're taking it further and we're building something out of it. And I think that's where like real culture actually lies. And getting to like deeper into jiu-jitsu, what is your favorite belt? Because now we're both purple belts. You're more than halfway now to brown. What's been your favorite?
Man, purple's been good, but I still think blue belt was legit, man.
Blue belt was amazing, dude. What was it for you?
It was being able to like, being a smaller guy. Like I look at guys, if you were to stand us next to each other and just say, hey, these guys have no martial arts skills whatsoever, who's going to win this fight?
Yeah. And then people would stereotype to,
stereotype the bigger
dude.
guy, right? So for me, in my mind, like, I don't mean to sound cocky, but it's nice when I roll with bigger guys, and especially when I beat them, it's like, all right, I'm breaking that stereotype, right? And that gives me a little bit of encouragement. And so as a blue belt, being able to go against other blue belts or white belts and finally get some of the subs I've been, that I've been getting sub with forever, right? Finally get them myself and developing my own style too. Like that was the coolest part for me is getting a style developed.
Yeah.
I like being like fast and technical. Again, I'm not a very big and strong guy, so I have to use my speed and slithering out of stuff with especially with you.
Yeah. Your timing, dude. You got your defensive timing is so aggravating. I respect it and I love it, but it is so aggravating when I'm the one rolling against you.
And that's what's cool about jiu-jitsu too. Is I feel like there's languages, for lack of a better term. Like when I roll with you, like I really I kind of like enjoy the art of jiu-jitsu. Like I'm figuring stuff out, right? Like when I see things, like you put your arm a certain way, like, hey, I could get an arm bar right there, and it may not be, very standard move, but I'm like, hey, I'm gonna throw my knee here and see if I can arm bar right there. Even though it's completely uncouth. With other guys, with like Ray or Ryan,
it's a totally different language.
Dude, it's just straight like I'm just survival mode. Like see what where I could get out of, and maybe I could get some subs in there, but
even like body types, like I find that, and going back to like, we have a lot of big dudes in our gym, so it's like really easy to use this as like an example, but like I find myself going in deeper waters on purpose when I have people that like, especially when they're like physically overdoing me. Like if I got a person that's bigger, stronger, and faster, and I'm like, okay, I'm beat up, what can I do? And I find that I'll even travel into deep waters just because I know I have a trap coming that I'm setting, or I have like the opportunity to destroy their base or something like that, and then go send them. Kind of like to the point, like we had a smaller lady in the gym today, and then you have Alex, who's a behemoth of a man. He's like, what was he, like 6'5"?
something like that.
He's somewhat. I don't know. Alex.
Huge.
I don't know if I just like added a couple inches to your height, but you're a big dude, and he's not just a big dude. He's like super long, and like we were kind of talking about when we roll with him this morning. We were talking about it. We're like, as soon as he postures up, you're like, what the hell am I going to do with this dude? You know, like, and it's what do you do when you have that kind of a difference in size? And I remember I was working, and I'm like way bigger than this girl that we're working with today, and she does a sweep a certain way where she kicks the leg instead of tripping. We're talking about like the scissor sweep, and I remember she was developing it her own way, and even like when she recovers her guard, she does it a completely different way than what I would, because I can't physically do it her way, but it works for her. And like it's so cool to see people they come up with their own style without even knowing it.
Yeah.
And I think leaving blue belt and going into purple belt, I came to the realization that like I have been building my style all along. It's just like it comes to fruition. Like it starts to come to the surface, and now you're like, okay, this is what I do.
Yeah.
And I've actually been spending time developing this. It's just kind of the realization that now further developing it. And
When I got my purple belt, came to this realization. Maybe it sounds kind of silly, but like there's some guys in this gym that like all I want to do is sub them one time because they're so good.
yeah,
I just want to get like I want to put up a fight against them.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter how good better I'm getting at jiu-jitsu, they're also improving, right? So like, like I might have been able to beat Ryan a year ago, but Ryan has improved in the last year as much as I have, if not more. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so as much as I grow, they're growing too, and that was kind of a slap in the face, but also like, all right, I'm going to keep on going because there's going to be someone who's gunning for me.
yeah.
You know, and I'm going to keep on improving, and I'm going to keep on disappointing them, and that's encouraging, you know?
Dude, yeah, I talk about that too. I was talking to Justin about it years ago, but like we recently kind of talking about it with multiple people. We talked about it in the podcast, like he's got people that he chases, and it's not necessarily chasing because like we're trying to like win a race. It's like chasing because it's like a motivation, right? Like he's one of the people, because when I was a white belt, I remember he was I think he was the first person I rolled with after my first stripe ever as a white belt. And we joked about it, like the thing he said to me, he came up to me, he's like, let's see what that stripe does. And you know, and like we all do that, right? Like it's someone gets their belt and we're like, all right, blue belt, let's see what you got. You know, like we all do that. And I remember for me, I was just like, dude, I can't even, this stripe means nothing. Like that's the answer. You know, I remember thinking that when we were slap bumping, I'm like, I'm about to show you that this one stripe doesn't mean shit. But like at the same time, for me, it was an encouragement. And then whenever he improved, I was like, I got to improve too. Not because I'm trying to measure myself against him, is because I'm looking for any means of motivation possible. And it could just be like I go through a phase where like, no, I'm going to defeat this thing. Like for me, defensively, I'll be honest, one of my biggest goals is like, I'm going to try to make it impossible for Ray to leg lock me. Now, am I going to be successful? Very likely not. He's still going to find a way to leg lock me. It's just, he's so good at his entries and he's working at it constantly, like, you know, to your point. But like, if I can stop him one roll where he doesn't have that and I can isolate that, I'm like, I did my job today, right? It's just like when you try to tell white belts and you're like, hey dude, like, I know it's tough and you're trying to figure out what it is you're supposed to do, but like, I actually don't care that you don't know how to do subs. What I care about is for you, if you're on bottom, to get out and then try to get on top. When you get on top, I want you to stay on top. And then we can talk subs. You know, once you get to that point, you're starting to like get on top and you're controlling people, then do it, you know, and you see people grow, and then you think about your own journey and you're just like, dude, like, what is it that I need? What is my next thing until I get into the next growth period? And man, it's been wild. Like, I was very fortunate that you've been my rolling partner for years now, but like, we have a lot of subs that we like to throw at each other. What's your favorite sub?
I love bow and arrows a lot. I remember during the Super Bowl, I threatened, I was like, I'm going to bow and arrow you and say F the Seahawks. I never got it that day.
But the Seahawks did win. Reigning champs.
I love bow and arrows. I'm really starting to fall in love with omoplatas a lot.
Yeah, and even though you tell me that you're going for them, you still manage to get me in them. And I try to stop it, but you're definitely developing that sucker.
And yeah, I love the scrambles of the whole, like, I mean, maybe this sounds pretty elementary for like a purple belt, but like things we learned in white belt, like the whole armbar, triangle, omoplata transition, that whole like.
Dude, super helpful.
Dude, I love it, and I still use it, and I get people in omoplatas frequently.
Yeah. Those drills are so underrated, and like I wouldn't say I love drilling. I respect and appreciate the value of them because I see it day in, day out. My first promotion ever was because I did armbar, triangle, armbar. And we had drilled that, especially at the time with who we had in charge. Like, that was like one of our main drills. And I remember I just did it exactly we drilled, and it worked. And I remember I was more excited about nailing that than I was getting my first stripe. Because I was just like, holy shit, like I put it together and it actually happened.
Yeah.
And dude, like I've seen you do it where you've thrown an armbar and I pulled out and you're like, oh, there it is. There's the omoplata. I'm like, you son of a bitch. Like, for me, I'm just like, but to see someone execute a drill, it really does, like, it validates, right? It puts a stamp on the usefulness of drilling. And I totally knew you were going to say omoplata. And I know bow and arrow because you've definitely got me in bow and arrows, and that's not a fun time to be in there. What is your favorite sweep?
Man, I'm still a fan of the old school scissor sweep. I kick the knee out, not the trip one, the kicking the knee out, because man, I've been able to, like, especially roll with bigger guys, when they put all their weight on the knee, just kick that knee out and launch them.
Yeah.
When I'm able to launch big dudes, there's just like, it's
euphoric.
Yeah, it really is euphoric. Like, oh, I got it. It feels so good.
Yeah.
You get on top of this big person and hold them down, and I'm still a big fan of that.
Yeah. I really, like, I love butterfly sweeps, and I know everyone in the gym knows that because I'm a butterfly sweeper, but, like, dude, that's not even my favorite reason or favorite thing. Like, I like to sweep. Sweeps are fun. But my favorite thing, and we got to go back to the big people again, it's very gratifying because, like, I'm a relatively big dude, but I'm, like, average size in our gym. Like, really, like, when you think about it, there's so many people that are in the 6-foot realm. I am outweighed by so many people by 20, 30, 40, 50 pounds. So my weight doesn't really mean anything. I'm barely on 200 pounds right now. But, like, when you get a big person, someone that's bigger, more menacing than you sweep them, and then that initial surge of frames and strength that they get, and they try to launch you off, and they can't. That's, for me, that's like the chef's kiss. Because I'm just like, okay, not only did I sweep, but I followed up and I maintained control. That's, for me, is like the biggest addiction with sweeping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't care what sweep it is. It could be a dummy sweep. I don't care. I'll take a poopy pass. I'll take anything as long as I can control that person. It's that second order effect of, like, maintaining control, dude, is like, yes. Especially when they're bigger. Sorry, bigger dudes. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah, when you get that sweep, and as soon as you put their frames up, grab the arm, throw the leg over, nice arm bar, lay into it, just nice and fast. Like, that one felt so good. Yeah.
I try to, and I did this on a white belt. Dakota, I know you're probably going to listen to this, and you're probably shaking your head as you're listening to this part of the podcast, but I was trying to, I can't even remember the name of the move, but it's like a form of guard pull, but, like, it's the way you fall to the side where they kind of just, like, fall over, but you end up in, like, the perfect armbar position if you follow up with their body. And I got him once, and I got it so well that he, like, flipped, and I went on top and I landed almost in, like, an S-mount position, and I sunk the armbar. And I remember thinking in my head, I was like, I'll never get this. At the time, I was like, I'll never get this on a blue belt and up. But Dakota, thank you for your sacrifice. He was my troop at the time. And I remember I went to work the next day, and I was just like, what's up, homie? And he's like, I hate you. But, you know, I know he's probably going to get it on somebody's one day too, so that's fine. It just happened to be my time today.
Especially those times when you pull something on someone who typically either beats you or gives you a run for your money.
Yeah.
Pitbull, I almost applauded him the other day, and it felt so good. Like, Pitbull's kind of a shorter, stockier guy.
Yeah. Got a motor on him.
And he smashes me, like, every time.
Smashes the crap out of me.
And I was able to almost applaud him, and he just kept on going like it was nothing. But in my head, I was like, wait, you're not going to stop and just say good job or anything? Because that was awesome.
That's my moment.
Yeah, that was my moment. And you just didn't even care.
There's certain people, I'll hunt for it. I'm like, because it's like what you said. It's like I just want to get him one time, and then I'll move on. It's just a personal thing. They've been killing me this whole time. Let me just get him once, and then you get him, and then immediately you pay for it.
Oh yeah.
The whole time I'm eating it after that, and I'm eating that shit sandwich. I'm like, that was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'll go home and we're always honest about a story. It's like everyone has that moment where like you get something and you're excited, and then you like tell your buddy like, dude, I finally got so and so. And then it's like they're excited for you because like they know the struggle, especially as someone like someone who I've never been able to like really understand why it works so well. Like Gavin's like sloth guard, like he has like this half guard, but he's just so chill, and he doesn't have to move fast, and he just breaks you down.
Yeah.
I know I think for me it's like a mental thing because I'm like, why is he not moving?
I know, like, hey, give me something, but he is giving you something.
He's just like, and you're giving me something as soon as you do that, and he's just got that wisdom to the way he rolls. And I remember one time, like, I snuck one on him. I don't know why I got on him, but I snuck something on him. And then he's like, okay. And he has like that grin.
Yeah.
He's just so chill. He's so respectful and kind. But he was like, all right. And then he decided to play on top after we slap bumped again. And I got decimated, but I remember thinking the whole time, I was like, dude, this is so worth it. Like, because his pressure's unreal. It's crazy when you forget about some people's pressure. Like, I think, personally, this is my personal opinion, I think Greg has the best pressure out of all of us. That dude, when he puts pressure, bro, I'm like, dude, that reminds me of, like, the old Professor Sean days. Like, like, Greg's got that pressure, bro, and like
grapevines you, and it sucks.
Yeah, like when he gets on top, you're screwed. Like his side control pressure for me is just like so daunting. I have to like go back to the white belt days. Whenever he's on top and he's pressuring me, especially from side control, I'm like, okay, I have to remind myself that I'm not gonna die, but it sure feels like it, for at least a while until I find a way to improve my position. But yeah, there's so many good dudes in our gym, and they have so many different styles. Yeah. And then you get to like, it's like you have like a buffet line. Like, okay, what do I want to mess with today? Because we have those kind of options here, and we're very fortunate. It's like if I want to go get at some legs, we got some leg guys. And then we got guys that are really good at leg guys. Like I want to go choke for choke. We got plenty of chokers. We got guys that do limb stuff, and then we got people that are just like pure fundamentalists.
Yep.
That just. They don't have to do anything fancy, and they prefer not to. And that's what probably makes it even more impressive, because it's like the stuff they're beating you with is stuff that we teach the youth.
Yeah.
But they're just like showing you what it means to apply it correctly. Like Ryan, for example.
Yeah, just doing it perfectly every single time.
It's just insane. Like I've looked at him, and before in rolls, even recently, like I roll with him, and I'm like, I know what you're gonna do. I got to try to stop this, and I can't stop it, and I'm just like, damn it, dude. Like, it's just like, bro.
Yeah, I remember last time I rolled with him, like, he's always doing, like you said, just simple things. Yeah. And I'm sitting here trying to do, like, complicated things to escape his simple things. And I remember I put my arm through, like, right into a arm triangle. Just, like, put my arm straight up, and he just snatched it.
Yeah.
And as soon as he snatches, like, that was stupid. And he's just like, in his quiet, mellow, yeah, it was.
Dude, yeah, I talk about that so much. Like, the dude is a silent assassin, bro. Yeah. Like, he's a man of few words, but when he says something, man, it has a freaking impact. And, like, I remember the day, I'll never do it, forget it, because I talk about it all the time anyway. But, like, I had him in this choke, dude, and I swear, it would have put so many people to sleep. It was so tight, and in my head, I was like, I got you. And I was just like, yes. And then the bell rung. And that freaking timer went off, and he just sat up and he was like, saved by the bell, and freaking dipped. And I was just like, no way, like, come back, dude. I was like, no. And it haunted me, like, in the way that you and I will get one over on each other, and then the other person that received it, there'll be like a midnight text between you and me, like, I effing hate you, And it's just like, dude, it's so frustrating. But I thought about that one moment with Ryan, and that haunted me to this day. Like, it still haunts me, but, like, I'll think about it with him, and I'm like, dude, I can't just try to submit him. I have to take him deep, like deeper than I've ever gone. So for me, it like challenges me to be even more efficient with the way I do things. Still haven't got him, but that's okay.
Yeah.
But, like, we have this cool thing where like not only is jiu-jitsu therapy, but it's almost like the ultimate hobby in my opinion, because it is chess. It could be a game if you want it to be. It could be a sport. It could be a martial art. It could be therapy. But like for me, one of the things that's the coolest about jiu-jitsu is like it's almost like you're trying to like figure out the ultimate combination to get things done. And like you said, like, oh, I can do a weird armbar there if I just put my leg over here and do this. You start to discover concepts on your own, or you starting to finally piece things together from like a year ago.
Yeah.
You know, like I've had that happen where I have white belts in my class talking about, like, let's say a triangle, and I just can't get the triangle. And like when they say that, I get so excited because I'm like, bro, I couldn't triangle for the longest time, but I learned something else, and then that showed me how to do the triangle properly. And I don't know why it works like that, but you'll get something else down the road, and then you're like, oh, and then you go back, now you can knock out the thing.
And just keep shooting it, man. Like, I had the same thing. I would shoot triangles for a long time, and just, I don't know why I couldn't get them. Mm-hmm. And to my knowledge, I don't know if that really even changed anything until I finally was able to start getting them. And then when I was able to start getting them, then I was like, all right, now I can cut my angle even harder. And I learned shortcuts. And I love triangles. I shoot triangles all the time. But it took me a long time. And then when they clicked like hard. And so I try to tell people that, like, keep on trying those things, and in trying them, you'll find out what went wrong, and then just adjust.
Yeah.
One thing I like about jiu-jitsu too is that there's not an end goal. There's no like, I beat the video game.
Right. Yeah.
It doesn't exist. And everyone moves at their own pace. Like I said, some people are like hobbyists, some people are competitors. You know, I'm kind of somewhere in the middle. I compete every once in a while, but there was a time where I was getting a little discouraged. Like, I see guys like you and Justin come up, and like I started before both you guys. I was choking you guys out of white belts, and now the roles are reversed, you know. And at first I was like, I need to do better. I was kind of getting myself, but now it's cool. Like, I really enjoy that. Like, you guys are coming up, and I was at least part of it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. When you get tapped by somebody, and then you're excited for them.
Yeah.
That's when I think like you reached another stage mentally, because like I remember I was worried when I first got my blue belt, dude. So I got beat the first time I got tapped as a blue belt. Was against Hunter. It was against Hunter. Do you remember Hunter?
Yeah.
So for those of you guys that don't know Hunter, I mean, obviously not everyone here rolls and does it with us, but Hunter's my buddy's son. He's a wrestler. He's going to college right now, and he's wrestling, doing no-gi jiu-jitsu out there and stuff like that. But it was like his first day. I think it was like maybe his trial class. My buddy had brought him. So like my buddy Rob is sitting there in the freaking seats, and Hunter does like this wrestling stuff, and he's like pinning me. And he's like a way better wrestler than me at the time. And it was like literally my first day as a blue belt on the mat. And he puts me in like this, basically like a north-south choke. But it was like one-handed, and he did it like modified in a way, and I've never been put in that position. And I didn't know what to do. And at the time, Sean was standing there, and he was watching it happen. And he was like, to me, he's like, what are you going to do? And I remember I was sitting there, and this kid's strong too, but like he's got this technique down that I didn't know it was like his bread and butter to pinning people. But he was like, I'm doing jiu-jitsu, so we show people now. So he in the moment on his first day on the mats decides to make it a choke, and it worked. Because it got to the point where I'm wiggling out and I'm trying to get out, and I'm like, I got nothing, dog. Like I'm stuck. Mm-hmm. And I felt it going and going and going. I was like, well, I'm eventually gonna go to sleep. So I was like, F it, dude. And I tapped, and I remember I went home and I was like, I'm a piece of shit. Like, in my head, I was like, I'm garbage. This kid just came out here and he decimated me. And I remember that was like my fear as a blue belt. I was like, I can't let white belts get me. I'm supposed to like be invincible to these guys. But then it's like you start getting to the point where you're mentoring people, or you're teaching people. Maybe you get to run a class. Maybe you get to like take over for someone for the day, or you're just like having a sidebar with someone, teaching them something you do. And then when they land that on someone else, or they land it on you, it's weird, like when you start to mature, and then you're like, dude, yes, like you get super stoked for them.
Yeah.
Like if I got one of my guys passes my guard, like I had Alejandro. Alejandro's a good example. Like this dude is an awesome white belt. He's a monster. He's a great uke. He's a good dude. He's become a pretty good friend of mine. And like we're sitting there, we're hanging out. I'm teaching some things about guard passing, and I was talking to him about like how I like to time things, and he pulled that shit on me like to perfection during a roll. And I remember when he first did it, and I looked at him, and I stopped everything. I was just like, dude, that was freaking awesome.
Yeah.
I just want to say that. And then we just like keep going. But I was just like, bro, I get so pumped.
Yeah.
Like, it's just nothing like it, man.
Yeah, it's like a family to where you want them to succeed too, and hopefully they'll do better than you. You know?
And if they don't, like, that sucks because like you want people to continue to grow.
Yeah.
But like, it's cool when like you can have people, you can help elevate their game, so that way it forces you to get better, and then it just makes chess that much more fun, dude. Like, it's hard to love chess if you're teaching someone how to play, or you're going against this guy that's like, what's this piece called? Right. And like you show them the things, right? And then they understand it, and then you show them how I got you, what this does. And then it's like, now I really got to use my brain. And like, dude, there's so much brain power being used here. It's no wonder like this is a very nerdy sport, like a very nerdy martial art, because like you have to like, I think personally you have to a certain extent be obsessed with it in order to reach the next level.
Yep.
Because it's just, you can't half-ass it, and there's no way you're gonna, like, I'm sure there's stories we see it on, like there's like Moneyberg stories out there, like there's people that like get divorced from Tom Brady and then now they're purple belts like 2 years later. Like there's weird stories like that you hear here and there, and you'll hear about stories about people just get stuff handed to them. But the majority of the time, and I know at this gym, like no one's gonna let you just like get the win. And like there's a difference between letting somebody work and get the experience and like, hey, good job, and like if you really believe that brown belt will let you get that arm bar and this is like your third class, you're just delusional. Right. But like when you're letting someone work so they can understand, or you're like really flowing like at a very low rate of resistance to help people understand, you know, how the body works and what the position looks like, so they can have those moments like you're talking about with that arm bar. That's like super sick, dude. That's like even more addicting in itself. But what would you say is like, as far as jiu-jitsu goes, you know, talked about like subs, sweeps, like what is your favorite part about your game in general, and like what is your favorite thing to like do, and maybe the things that you're working on that like get you excited today?
I like to just play with, like, kind of circle people. You know, if I get on top, you know, and they're trying to recapture their guard, I really like to play with how I'm blocking their legs, how I'm moving my hips. I like to circle around, and if they're, you know, facing one direction, circle around the other way. So now I have basically their back. And inevitably some submission kind of presents itself, and that's what's really cool is moving your position to find a submission. Maybe that sounds a little elementary, but because we always say position before submission, and I'll be in one position. Do I see anything? Nope. Let's move, and then see if something else presents itself.
But you're further developing it.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
I very rarely go in there being like, all right, I have this submission planned, right? The plan kind of comes in the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's like, especially with you, when we're trying to pass each other's guard, it's always, what weird thing can I do? Like when you try those butterfly sweeps on me, I'm always grabbing your ankle and tucking it in.
Yeah. Yeah, it's annoying.
I freaking hate butterfly sweeps. So like, as soon as someone comes at me with their feet like that, I'm like, all right, I know exactly what to do.
I'm gonna lose that hook. Yeah.
So yeah, just little things like that. Like, I don't know. I'm not super like mental about the game. I just get on top and I find something in the moment, and that to me is cool because that's just kind of more applicable. I can't even say the word applicable to life.
Yeah.
You know, things get thrown at you and you adjust and you figure it out. Yeah, that's really what I've been working.
Yeah. I love doing that because it just makes it exciting. Because you like, yeah, I have different days, right? There's some days where I have more of like a Ray mindset where it's like, yeah, I'm gonna come in, this is what I'm working on, and like I do that, and I take the time to work on the things I want to work on. But it's really fun when you get to just like go in there. I'm gonna see how this goes.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of like let go of yourself and just kind of flow and like find where that opportunity lies, and then you take it. But I have been on like how Ray went on his like spiritual journey with like leg locking and no-gi. I'm like on this weird lapel thing, and I've been on it for a while, but finding ways to use the lapel to its fullest extent for my benefit, and like setting traps has been something I've been trying to work on the last like year or so, and like because I want to try to like create a situation where I'm going for something that's advantageous for me, and I might have that potentially secured, but I'm not trying to fully commit to it because I want to see where this can go. And if I can create a fork in the road for somebody where hopefully if they do this, then this is the next step I'm taking, and I'm ready, prepared, and set up for that. Or if they give me the opportunity to continue what I've been setting up, then I just send that. That's kind of been my game so far, and like trying to figure that out and trying to find ways to not hurt so much after rolls. And I found that like in blue belt, there was plenty of times where I was having very unnecessary injuries. Like I was hurting my knee a lot, and I realized that it was because my technique was so garbage with certain things, and trying to find ways to where like if I can last this entire night and I'm the last guy on the mat and I'm not limping to the car, it's probably because I was being smart when I was rolling. And trying to find consistency in that has been like one of my biggest pursuits, because I want to make it as long as I can and then let the wheels fall off, you know. But yeah, 'cause we're not getting any younger, dude.
I think one of the things that I love doing, especially when I roll with you, is, and then maybe I already mentioned it, but just finding those just weird, like I want to surprise people with submissions. Like we had a roll the other day that's still stuck in my head. You had a deep baseball choke on me, but your arms were up like this, and I kind of postured up, and I saw his arm as he's got a deep baseball choke, and I'm like, it's getting tight, and like, oh, I see his arm right here. I can arm bar that. And I'm still kicking myself. I threw my rear leg in and tried to break his grip. If I would have just thrown my top leg over your head and sat back, it would have broken your grip and had a perfect arm bar. And you wouldn't have expected it. I think you saw what I was doing as I slid my knee in there.
As soon as you slid, it gave me the opportunity to get my head out of my cheeks and like be like, oh, I'm way too far extended. Because there'll be times where like I get super excited with you, especially to get a choke, because I'm like, dude, I want this reset so bad, because this scramble is so like frustrating. And I remember in that moment too, because I remember we talked about it afterwards, where like I had it and you found a way to posture up, and I was still hanging on, and I was like, this is not smart. And so I was trying to attract you so I can go back to safety and not be at risk. And when you started to move your legs, I freaked out, because I was just like, nope, it's coming. And in my head, I was thinking like, you're going to go for some kind of like mounted situation on me, or maybe you're going to try to go for like a mounted triangle, or you're going to try to do the arm bar. And I was just like, both sound crappy. They both sound shit. I don't want anything to do with that. So I got to get the hell out of here. And I sit there a lot when I roll with you, where I'm just like, how the hell did he sneak that thing? Because I have to like replay that whole roll in my brain sometimes because of what you're doing. Like you find very sneaky things, and it's funny when I'm trying to do the same thing, because you and I do weird stuff. Like in particular, rolling with you and I we get each other in the most unorthodox setups. And we set things up in the weirdest ways, and we'll do a lot of like switching of grips. Like you're really good at your lapel Ezekiel that you do. That comes on quick, and it's out of freaking nowhere. It's the way you set it up versus the way I do it. Like for me, I do it a set way because it's my way of doing it, and I like doing it that way. But then you'll do it on me, and I'm like, what the crap was that? You know? and it's just cool that we can vibe back and forth in that regard, and then we can frustrate each other. Because I would hate to have boring jiu-jitsu. I'd hate to have people that don't want to challenge themselves and try new things, but we have people all the time that are trying new things. Like it's funny to see, like I was talking about camp passing with plenty of people recently, like, and I know I brought it up with Ray in the podcast. Ray has been working on camp passing with me for months. And we do that because right now it's just something that we decide to work on. And I'll be the bottom guy, you know, getting pressured, and he's the one developing his pass. And we get to a certain point where we're like developing it, and then all of a sudden I get another guy. I got a blue belt that's coming over. I got Anthony. He was like trying to do the same thing to me, and I was just like, I recognize that, you know. And you see white belts. I feel like the white belts that we have, I try to compare my journey to theirs as far as like development goes. We have a lot of white belts that are they would have whooped my white belt ass.
For sure.
Like I wouldn't have had a chance against a lot of these white belts.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think it's going to continue to happen that way.
Yeah.
I think white belts are going to be like blue belts, and then you're going to have blue belts that are going to be like purple brown belts. It's inevitable. You see it in competition all the time, but like I think it's going to be a normal thing in jiu-jitsu, because maybe it's got something to do with the fact that jiu-jitsu is more accessible now compared to when like people like Andrew, I know he talks about it a lot, but dude.
Did you look up jiu-jitsu before you started? Like, were you researching it, like looking into moves or?
I did a little bit. I was a UFC guy too, and I was definitely the just stand up guy. I used to get mad when I see them go to the ground because I'm like, they're stalling, but I wouldn't realize that they're doing jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
And in fact, even when I look at older fights, if I like they pop up and I watch them, I'm like, damn, I didn't realize they were doing so much jiu-jitsu back then. But I had an opportunity to do jiu-jitsu when I was in my 20s. I was in Japan, and there was a guy that did jiu-jitsu on base, and there was a gym off base that did like a mix of things. And it was in Japan. I could have taken that chance. Didn't even think about it. Like I was like, that would be cool, and I just was too lazy. Then I had a troop of mine, and it just he PCS'd in. He was actually one of Ant's troops. He's a close family friend. Gets stationed in Albuquerque with us, and he starts going to a 10th Planet gym. And this is like late 20 teens. So we're like, this is like between like 2018 and like 2021, that time frame. And this dude's going hard. Like he's going like 4 or 5 days a week. And every day he comes over, he's like, bro, jiu-jitsu. And I was just like, ah. And for me, I was wussing out. Like, to be truly honest with you, in my head, I was like, I'm going to get cooked. And I don't know if I'm able to handle that. And so for me, I just didn't take it. I only did jiu-jitsu because Ryan's brother-in-law, of all people, was at a birthday party. And he's a wrestling coach, you know, Costa.
Yeah.
So Costa was the reason why we came here to this gym, because we were at a random birthday party. Ethan's classmate was there. And I was looking for something to do other than video games. And he's like, well, do they have wrestling in your area? I was like, no, not where we're at. And he's like, okay, well, there's jiu-jitsu. And I was like, this jiu-jitsu keeps coming up, you know? And I'm like, yeah, dude, I think we're probably going to check that out. And he's like, there's a place called Ground Up. Go check them out. And so I went there, and the rest is history. But, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know my ass from my elbow when it came to jiu-jitsu when I started.
Same.
And I think a lot of people are starting to research stuff before they come in, so they already have like, all right, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Right. So they're already on a elevated level just walking on the mat than some of us.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because you get like first responders that come through, like cops, for example. Like I just rolled with one of our newer guys, and the first thing I noticed, I was like, he's got a pretty decent base. And I had to like remind myself that he was a police officer, because I'm like, they have a combatants manual, just like the military does.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, you do combatives at work, huh? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, I could tell, because you're not like a normal brand new trial class guy. And I even rolled with a kid from the academy, and just the way he's moving, I was like, he's done something, you know. But like for him, he's like, never done jiu-jitsu, never done wrestling, never did anything like that. He's like, I just starting to get into it. And I'm like, but I can tell you got something, you know. And I think we're going to see more of that. And we got people that used to do it that come back. Like I got a buddy of mine right now, we're working on him to hopefully come back in. But he's a blue belt. He's been rolling for a while. And I hope he comes back, because like it's just so good.
I can't fathom ever quitting. Like,
yeah.
I remember when I was always heard about the blue belt boogie, and as soon as I started, I was like, if I am around long enough to get my blue belt, I'm a lifer.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not doing it. I'm not quitting. And now, like, I couldn't imagine life without it. Like,
yeah.
How could I ever make the, conscious decision? Like, nope, I'm done with jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Unless I'm completely broken and unable to do it. In which case, I'm not really even quitting. I'm just not able to do it anymore, you know?
Yeah. That's just, you That's different, and like it's like going out like a warrior in my mind. It's like because I think about it too. Like, what if something catastrophic happened? I had one leg, and then I've had this conversation in my own brain where I'm like, self, what would you do if you had one leg? And then like I'll have like a YouTube binge, and I'm watching like IBJJF comps or something like that, and then like I'll see something in like Brazil, and it's like both these guys go hobbling in. They're hopping on one leg. And they're doing jiu-jitsu against each other. Like one guy's got one arm, one guy's got one leg. And I'm like, these guys have no excuses. I'm like, even if I lost a limb, like if I lost both my arms, I better have a really good open guard.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, even if it's just to be in here and just to get some mat time doing that, it would be good enough because I can't quit either. Like I just don't see it. I'm thankful I've never, outside of a white belt in my initial like, can I actually handle this thing? Because like you have people that question themselves all the time whether or not they can handle it. But once they get past that, hopefully they get hooked for life.
Yeah.
Outside of my initial self-conscious, question, like can I actually like, hang? I have never had the urge to quit. Even in my most frustrating times where it's like injury after injury, I don't care.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we'll just keep going. But we'll roll hobbled. I don't care.
Yep.
And thankfully, we have good training partners that'll be there to take care of you and not just be like, now's my time. Like, Jordan's got a bad leg today. I'm going to freaking knee bar the shit out of him, We don't got to deal with that. Cool, man. Well, like, yeah, I it's really wanted to have you come on the podcast because, like, for me, it's, you look at a lot of people that go through a lot in their professional lives, and a lot of people know about what people do by TV or whatnot, right? And like, it's so interesting for you because and I've had military guys, and I'm obviously a military background, but like you have a first responder, and you have a lot of people. You have events, you have months, you have TV programs that like romanticize what the job is and stuff like that. But then you get to like, you're sharing a mat. Like this is a very intimate place, right?
Yeah.
And it's like you have people with stories, and to be able to like take the time to share people's stories, and especially someone who does a job as like crucial as yours, and then it comes with a price, to be able to hear that, and then to be able to hear how you like experience these things. And look, Jordan's still here alive, he's still thriving, and it's for a reason, because you've done things to not only help you get here, but you've had the support, you've had the family, the friends, you've had therapy, you have jiu-jitsu, you have your own self practices that you put into place. And I think it kind of really runs full circle when you talk about like trying to find a way and trying to move forward, but to do it smartly and to do it responsibly. Like I go to you a lot for these kind of conversations because I know that we can relate on so many levels, but I love it when you get people that get to get to know something about this person that they've been sharing the mat with for like a long time. Like, man, I didn't know that. Like, there's a lot of people that didn't know that Ray hardly talks. And then here he's a little chatterbox. We have a 2.5 hour freaking podcast episode. And there's a lot of people like, dude, I had no idea that was Ray's background, right? I'm like, I hope that serves the same purpose with you, because maybe there's someone who's going through something similarly. Maybe even someone who's just listening or watching this, and they're able to go, man, dude, like that really like speaks to me, because it could be something to do with the slightest little thing, but if it's able to reach one person, I think we've done our job.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the biggest lessons is in jiu-jitsu and in life. That like sometimes there's times you gotta let our guard down and take that step on the mat, take that step into the therapist's office, or talk to your friends.
Open up to the spouse and like find a way to communicate to the family and other things. Yeah. We're all human, but like we all got a different way of doing things, and like I think one of the biggest gifts that we can do to give back to people is to be able to share our story and let it hopefully provide like a different context for someone and give them a different kind of like viewpoint. Because I know I've learned so many times from other people by getting their lens versus my own. And maybe like you think that you've looked and you feel like you're out of luck. Maybe someone doesn't know what the that type of therapy that you had is. I don't really know much about it until we start talking about it. I've heard about it, a little bit, but I haven't really like talked to someone firsthand and got their actual like account of like how it worked for them. And so for me, it's like I know that if I was in a rough place where I was processing, that's something that's a possibility for me to look into now. And maybe like, hopefully someone's looking at jiu-jitsu as a possibility too. Cause like,
Yep.
what are you freaking waiting for, dude? But try it out. And I appreciate you, man, taking the time to sit with me on our days off. I'm retired, so it kind of isn't the same. But yeah, just to sit here, take the time, bro, and just to chat it up, share experiences, and a couple laughs. But
Yeah.
thank you so much, man, and catch you on the mat, dude.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for listening. We'll catch you in the next episode, dude, and we hope you like it. We'll catch us on Spotify. Check us out on YouTube. We'll shoot some on Instagram when this is out, but tune in. If you like it, do all the likey, subscribey things, you know. But appreciate you, man. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, brother. We'll catch you next time.
The Dirty Shirts Podcast.